Hey guys, here we are at Imola in the Dallara P217 for a somewhat short practice session. So as we have the Imola 6 hours coming up, how's sorry, as we have the Imola 6 hours race coming up, I just wanted to do just some practice laps so I can kind of just talk about my struggles with the track and how I'm going to try to work on them, and also that way kind of just see how like a run forms. So a normal full stint is 18.7 gallons. I have 13 gallons in the car, so a little over half, I guess, of a run. But I'm just going to do a slow out lap here and kind of just make some pointers about what I've noticed after doing like 10 to 15 laps or so of practice. So my fastest lap so far is a 32.7, but my optimal is down to a 32.1, so I definitely have a lot of time to gain optimal-wise. Still half a second that I've gotten sectors, but I just can't put all together in one lap. But anyways, as we're coming up to turn 1 here, you can see that there's this kind of turn. So you kind of be braking as you're turning, unless if you kind of just like approach over here and try to aim straight, you can try to downshift to third or second for this corner. I've really struggled to figure out which is better, but the most important thing is just don't hit these curbs. You can hit the green and the red and white ones, but those yellow ones just launch your car. So you just gotta be so focused and see all those extra lines, all those times I've missed the corner. Then the throughout here, if you just turn the wheel a bit too much as you're accelerating, you can get the rear of the car really sideways. So you want to be patient just about having a wider line through that section. So that's going to be my goal through there, just make it really tidy and try to figure out whether third or second is better. This next section, I've been really struggling on having this in a smooth input. I think you can be on the right edge of fourth gear, I think, taking through this first corner. Then if you take this corner in second, again, you're going to have a lot of, the back end's going to be really stepping out on you, so you want to stay in third, but you're going to be taking a lot of speed, which will put you way out of here, so just be careful not to get in the sand, because you're going to get a bit of understeer. For this next corner, I want to downshift to second, but then I feel the car doesn't turn enough, so I have to downshift to first through here. Then getting on the gas again on first through the exit, the car kind of wants to step out. You can have here the traction control coming back in there. So much of this has just been about being smooth with the throttle, that way you don't have the car loose on exit and just being smooth with the throttle. There's a lot of areas where you just have to be very slow and modulate the throttle to get on the gas. Through here, this has been a pretty easy. I downshift to third, use a lot of the runoff here, doing as little of the wheel, as turning the wheel as little as possible. That way you're not scrubbing off speed. Through here, a very fast section, you're up to fourth. I'm taking this half speed, or like half throttle through here, and then down to third and second, trying not to turn the wheel under braking. When I have a very, be able to trail the brake as you get, as you approach this corner, using this runoff here.
Slow down. You got a penalty for cutting the course.
We'll give you a penalty. It's very easy to do, so try not to get over there. And then I would say the hardest part of the track is this next section. The braking zone, you have a lot of these 150 boards and 100 board and 50 boards coming up. I brake right around the 60 to 75 area, and that works down to fourth, down to second. But this curve is so huge, and you have to attack so much of this as much of this as possible. And I feel that you could approach this curve this way, but I would almost hope that if you can get as much of the first curve and try to set you up on the right side, instead of aiming for that super huge curve, you just try to like split it almost, just aiming for the red and white. Very hard to nail that, and just again, I feel once you do exit that section, you're gonna be so low in the revs in second, but if you go to first, I feel the car's just gonna be way too unstable in the back, so I feel second's the safer choice. This final section here, the final two corners, braking kind of right as soon as the curbing straightens out into like one long line down to second gear through here. Very understeery through this section. And then this last corner, very easy to get a time penalty if you cut too early through here.
You cut the course, you've got to slow down and give up that time.
I feel like there's inside curbing there that you could take, but apparently the game doesn't allow you to take it, so. But you kind of just ride a bit of a wider line, take all the exit curve on the right hand side, and that's basically a lap. So yeah, like I said, most important thing is just being smooth with the throttle, not taking too much, not hitting these super aggressive curves at the chicane, or else you will basically wreck the car. And then just being patient to accelerate when you're in the lower gears around a lot of these slower sections. So very difficult track just to lap and get a good hot lap without making a mistake, and then in addition, very difficult to just be consistent. So even if I have to stay in the high 33s for a run. If that will mean I don't spin out, I think I might go for that. But anyways, I'll just continue my run and make any notes as I go along. So now after all those pointers, I'll go for, how many laps did we have? Maybe, I'm guessing like 19 laps or so with 12 gallons. Tires are a bit cold now for my slow lap, so I'll try not to make any mistakes as we just warm them up for this rest of this lap, and I'll start pushing once we finish it. One thing I've noticed so far is that if you downshift really fast through multiple gears, the engine braking will really help you in the braking zone. So that's what I'm going to try to work on, just downshifting fast. That chicane, you want to attack so much that way you can get through it fast without losing much momentum, but those curves are so brutal that there is a balance, and it's so hard to find. Like, how fast should you enter it, what line, and I feel like I can kind of figure out how fast, but the line is still troubling me, so I'd say that's the most difficult section so far, just figuring out how slow to go through there. In that chicane, if I maintain throttle for the second part of it, it helps the stability of the car, so that's definitely noteworthy. I was on such a good lap there, and you could see just how much I had to push those final two corners, that you want to use as much of the exit as possible in the final corner, but I just used a bit too much.
You got that corner and got a slow down penalty.
I know I've been messing up that final corner, but I'm actually most worried about the second chicane. I'm gonna continue talking as we approach it here, but this third chicane I feel like I kind of have pretty well down. Just heading over to the left-hand side, approach this braking zone cab as the kink starts, get down to second. I maybe could stay in third, but second just feels fine. Smooth on the gas, patient, finally back to full gas, use all the runoff as possible. Then here, up to fifth gear, and then I'm like, do I let off here? Do I start braking? Am I braking too much? Down to third, then down to second. I feel like I'm super slow by here, and I just feel the whole flows off. I feel like I've had issues there. And then here, I was just trying to late apex last time, and you heard the traction control come on, and just here continue to come on as I feel like I'm turning too much. But that second chicane, that's the thing where just like, even though I'm not doing anything inherently wrong, I just feel like it doesn't feel right. So I feel like I need to watch my replays to see how people are approaching that, because I feel like either my braking point is wrong, or like I should be like coasting into the braking zone or something. But it's just the fact that it's like a chicane, and normally you have like these straight areas, like straight line braking points, but I feel like there you almost have to brake while turning, and it doesn't feel right here. It's just like it's a if I was to describe it, it's just like a flick. It's very fast, and it's like you're either gonna get it or you're not. But the second chicane, it's so long that it's like there's so much that can happen, and it's like if you mess up a certain part, it's not. It's just much more in-depth, problematic stuff. It's not just, oh, you hit the curb in the wrong way. So, but I mean, other than I think I made a small mistake where I hit the curb at turn 1. You just see how much you have to save the car from wrecking, and it's just like, just gotta be careful in these curves, but just slow down enough that way you can approach it at approachable speed, I guess, without taking too much of a risk. But yeah, this chicane, I felt like that wasn't too bad. This corner, I'm gonna try. If I try it in second, just go through here in second, you can see it just understeers mid apex, and then I'm just bogged down. You can see the delta just fall off the cliff. So it's like, first I'm having lots of problems on acceleration, but second it just understeers, and then you have no acceleration. So that's just, I feel like, a lot of the challenge of this track, finding out even if there is a best gear, that doesn't mean that it's comfortable. The driving here, I feel like, to be fast, you're always on edge. So, but it looks like we have about 6 laps of fuel left, so I'll do 6 more laps and then finish this, I guess, 2/3 of a stint, and check out what our tires are like. But so far, I think this has been a pretty useful practice session.
Laps of fuel.
If I could have just maintained that lap, I was 4/10 up, and I still got my best lap yet, 32.6. But man, there was a 32.3 there. And just that last corner, it's like everything's gonna be fine, and at the last minute, you just run out of room. Yeah, it's just so aggravating. It's like I was putting this lap together and I was like, oh, it's looking good, it's looking good, it's looking good, and it's just like, don't mess up. And there wasn't even pressure. I wasn't telling myself to don't mess up. It was like I knew that that last corner was gonna be there, and it just like it's so weird. It's like something that you just don't think that's gonna be a problem, and if, even if you do get in the sand, it's like it's a very manageable save. There's never really been a problem there, but that is something that I have noticed. There's these huge curves and everything that looks so dangerous and like it's gonna create a problem, but even this chicane that comes up that I've been worrying about, I really haven't had many problems there. I may get a 1x by running wide, I may feel unstable, but it's really not losing me much time in that last corner. That is losing me time consistently, so that's just something to be careful of. It's just like all these corners that are like so hyped up to be scary, and then this last corner that no one talks about, but it's challenging. You're really building up a lot of speed. Going down to second here, so everything's pretty slow. You're just trying to figure out the line without cutting this final corner, getting over power. And I mean, I feel like you're straining out the wheel, and if you don't strain out the wheel as early, you'll be fine. So that's just turn the wheel until you're sure that you made the corner. Well, we had our first spin, and it was almost embarrassing. It was just downshifting to first. It's like, if you downshift too early, I'm scared that I'm just going to get immediately spun. So I try to wait until the apex to do it, so I think I really need to analyze what happened there. I thought I waited long enough to not have to worry, but in this section right here, it's just like, it feels so narrow. It's just like, I feel like I'm not having issues at the parts that I would expect. Here, I honestly want to cut the first part so early that I get a penalty. I feel it's so easy to turn in too early to that chicane because you want to have a good approach. I just haven't done that yet, but if I just get one like 33.5 in these next 3 laps, I'd be so happy. So that's my goal. Just need to push and not talk, and I hope we can get a 32.5. My bad.
You have about 2 laps of fuel left. You have about 1 lap of fuel left. You cut that corner and got a slow down penalty.
Well, it may have been with a time penalty, which, gosh, that was annoying. I felt like I nailed those final two corners with 32-1 asterisk. I felt like I was so close those last two laps. I had like a 32.7, I think a 32.8 or something, but dang. 32.5 or lower, that's a legitimate valid lap, still eludes me, but those last three laps though, pretty strong and pretty consistent, so I felt like I was finally able to shine. Obviously when you have low fuel, the car is light, it's most fun to drive, easiest to drive, you're not bogged down with all the weight and stuff like that, but yeah, let's just check out our lap time before we finish this session up. So just going through our laps, I'm actually going to check our tires first. So after that, we had 91, 86, 85, and 87. So if we were to make that a full stint, like basically 1.5 times that, that would probably be like down to 78 or so at worst in all the tires, 78, maybe 75. So I think a double stint could be possible. If you want to make it push it down to 50, I think that was probably the way to go, double stint. And looking at our times here, yeah, we did a 14 lap stint, or am I not wrong? 15 laps, I think. I guess our first lap was really slow at 155, but 33s and a 34 there, and then a 32. Then a 43 from there. I'm trying to remember what happened there. Was that a penalty or something? I honestly forget. But then two more 32s, and then that final 32 one that was invalidated. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to stay in those 33s, and then only like one or two 34s when I made just some big mistakes. But I think the goal is to hopefully try to make these mid 33s down to low 33s for when we actually get to the race. But hopefully this session was useful just to understand kind of what to expect after a long run. I mean, I just feel, like I said, this track, you just have to be so on edge, and I definitely feel like there's still places to improve, obviously. Um, that first chicane, just avoid those big curbs, and that final corner, it's going to bring you all the way down that long straight. It's so important to get a good exit. That's, I mean, obviously I was just doing by myself, but if when you're racing, you're going to have all the cars around you. It's going to be really hard to pass, but that long straight, that front straight is going to be the best place. So getting a good exit at the final corner is going to be super important. Anyways, here's the settings I use: 60% track usage, 81 degrees, and 11 mile per hour winds. But yeah, thanks for watching, and see you next time.